Hey, welcome back. We're here at the Rookie Profile Center at TCP Studios. I'm with the boys up, James up and Jay up.
What's up, guys?
Whoop whoop.
I'm Travis Sutton. We're gonna break down a wide receiver out of Maryland. Is that where everybody goes?
Maryland?
To get hitched?
Yeah, it's the Disneyland, and then they go to Maryland.
Nice. Isn't land over in Maryland?
Yeah.
Landover, Maryland.
Nice.
Yeah, you go there right for dating land.
A lot of lands.
Where's Make Believe Land? Is that there too?
That's in Philadelphia.
That's in Cleveland.
Wow.
No, that's in Cleveland.
Okay, DJ Moore, 6 foot 210, 20 years old. This kid is, as far as I know, fantasy wise, is right up in there with the first round kind of conversation, and he's been gaining some ground. He had a good combine. He ran a 4.42, did a decent amount of reps on the bench press, 15, verticals all right. All that other good stuff is there. Under 7-second 3-cone drill, so he's got some good quicks in space. So this kid, it was productive. His last season, his junior year, was very productive in Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
Multiple quarterbacks he dealt with.
Yes, a lot of quarterbacks.
4 different quarterbacks that last year.
He actually had 80.
4 in 3 years.
80 No, I read that he actually had 8 different quarterbacks in 3 years.
It was just 4
For
last
that year.
4 in 1 year.
Yes.
Yes.
8 different quarterbacks in 3 years.
Who is this guy? Superman?
He 80 catches he had over 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns last season with a revolving door of average or below average quarterback. So this is what I was saying on the St. Brown episode that we recorded.
To interrupt you, only receiver in the Big Ten with over 1,000 yards last year.
Well, there you go. And it was a school record for Maryland as well. But
Yeah,
I mean, this is what I'm saying about
80
St. Brown.
receptions
Was
was
that
it.
St. Brown took a huge dive. Going from where he was to 33 catches because of quarterback play and how bad it was. But Maryland was like, I think 4 and 8. I'm just spouting that out. I'm not 100% sure on that. I know they had a losing record, and essentially it was a who's who of quarterbacks, just whoever was there. And the DJ Moore, it didn't matter. He still killed. So I mean, I love that. I love that he also returns kicks. And after he catches the ball, he kind of runs like a running back. He reminds me of like a Golden Tate. Not necessarily like his style of play, but the fact that he is an aggressive runner when he gets the ball. Is not like a down at first contact type of guy. He loves to cut, doesn't mind contact, so I like that as well. What are you looking up, Scoop?
Just the 4 different quarterbacks. Like one of them had 9 or 12 attempts, 21 attempts, 47 attempts. Most of it was one guy.
Mm-hmm.
Bortenschlager.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. I just when you
I
said
think it's
4,
because of
sounded like-
injuries. Injuries coming. It wasn't like the guy came in just to kill the clock because they were up so big. It was like injuries happened, but when you have 4 different quarterbacks, that's still an obstacle
Still a
to
lot.
overcome.
It
It's
is.
still a lot to click with when they only have 12 games.
He was a 2017 Big Ten wide receiver of the year, like you kind of mentioned there, and the 80 receptions was a school record as well. He was basically a starter all 4 years.
Right. You know what? When you were talking about the combine, that he tested above average 7 out of 8 times. 7 out of like.
Sorry, 3
Hang
years.
on,
My bad. 3
Fucking
years.
Christ.
What?
I don't know. I'm trying to talk and you guys are talking about something else. Right. Hey,
Remix.
yeah.
Go back to where we'll cut out me saying 4 years. Then go back to that.
Tested
one.
above average
Yeah.
7 out of 8 times.
So he's a junior, right? Came out as a junior.
What was it, school record
Can you pause that or no?
as well.
No.
He was
Okay.
basically a starter all 4 years.
Okay. Ready?
The year, like you kind of mentioned there, and the 80 receptions, what was it, school record as well.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
3, 2, 1.
He was basically a starter for all 3 of his seasons.
There we go. We got it. He was. And, there was a lot of positives that I read. He was a 4-star recruit coming out of high school, out of Pennsylvania, and first team All Big Ten. You said 2017 Big Ten Wide Receiver of the Year, like you mentioned. But I read that he was a great teammate, which is good. It's good for me that he's not like one of those wide receivers that comes out that thinks he's just the end-all, be-all, the greatest thing ever since sliced bread. He was very level-headed, which is
Humble.
good. Quick feet, very fast, very elusive. He runs like a running back, which I already mentioned. But there was a couple negatives that I came across of like his numbers. The inflated numbers that he had 40% of the target share there in Maryland. So basically, he was force-fed the ball. So when you look at his stats of 80 catches, 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns, like it's a good season. It's a great season. Let's be honest. But when you're getting 40% of the target share, of the entire offense, like you're gonna have those numbers, whether you drop a lot of balls or not. So 80 catches is amazing, but 40% of the targets, like I said, he needs to run a little bit more aggressive on his routes. But once he gets the ball, he is like a running back. We already mentioned. Downfield's a little sketchy. Like 50-50 balls when you throw him up in the air. He's only, like we said, 6 foot tall, so he's not that guy that's going to go up like St. Brown that's going to jump over everybody and get those 50-50 balls. So that's going to be even harder when he gets to the NFL.
That's why I think he'll be great out of the slot.
Mhm.
If an NFL team takes him and puts him in the slot and makes him a slot receiver, I think that's going to be a great spot for him. And obviously, it's going to depend on where he goes in the NFL, but I like him in the slot, and he doesn't have to be an outside guy and maybe not as many shots downfield. You know what
Yeah,
I
I
mean?
don't think, I'm not sure if he's, even though he's fast as lightning, I don't know if he's going to be that type of guy that's going to be the Deshaun Jackson, okay, just go deep and we're going to throw you the ball type of guy.
And I read he was very similar to Stephon Diggs, which also he went to Maryland, which is I'm sure why the comparison. But as far as playing style, he's a little bit bigger than Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it again, like he's moved up in the ADP, the average draft position. He's actually was last month he was being drafted as a number 12 overall, which is literally the back end last pick of the first round in most 12-team PPR dynasty leagues. He has now moved up 4 full spots to number 8. The only wide receiver that's being drafted ahead of him right now is Cortland Sutton. So they have DJ Moore right now ahead of Calvin Ridley, James Washington, Christian Kirk, St. Brown. All these guys, Michael Gallup, he's ahead of all those guys. So he was definitely not there, last month. So the combine and the talk about everything.
The combine helped him out tremendously.
He's kind of moving up slowly but surely, and I could see him jumping above a couple of guys that are ahead of him, Rashad Penny and Ronald Jones. So if you're in a PPR league, it's very possible DJ Moore goes top 6 after the 4 big running backs, Cortland Sutton, and then you have DJ Moore. I don't know. I mean, again, like you said, it kind of depends on where he goes. But if he goes to a great situation, I could easily see him going in the top 6, which is scary because he was nowhere near that a month ago. Thoughts on DJ Moore?
I like him. I like him a lot. I think he's a gamer. I think it might take a good situation for him to get involved right away. He might do a lot of special teams kind of stuff. He had that last season, just this last year, 2017, where he had 80 catches. He had like 8 games with 7 or more catches. He was
Consistent.
definitely heavily involved. 2 games with over 100 yards, and one of those was 12 catches for 210 yards against Northwestern, which was a loss for them. Like you said, they had not a great season last year. But I do like him. I think situation dependent, or maybe if there's a clear path to getting some meaningful playing time, if he goes on a spot where maybe he's buried a little bit, but you could see a couple things happening and him kind of jumping right in. Or if he shows really well in the preseason, I could see definitely taking a chance on him in the dynasty first round.
Do you think, what round NFL draft do you think we're talking here? Do you think he's drafted as a number 2 after Cortland Sutton?
In the NFL draft? Yeah, I don't think so.
Right. See, I think there's a couple of guys that could be. This is one of those draft classes. It's kind of all over the place for wide receiver, and it's not like the Corey Davis of last year and the Mike Williams last year. There's like 6 guys that keep getting shuffled around. Of like Calvin Ridley was number 7, now he's dropped to number 10. And guys have kind of moved around a little bit to where it's a little jumbled mess in that back end of the first round, which means that this is what I always look at. Who's being drafted where in fantasy doesn't always correlate to the NFL. So it's hard to put that in perspective because I could easily see James Washington all of a sudden being the first receiver taken or something that's just kind of not out of left field, but it's still in the realm of possibility of those like 6 or 7 guys that are kind of all in the middle there to go in the NFL draft. It just depends on the situation they need. They need a slot guy, then all of a sudden DJ Moore might be the guy that gets drafted higher than the rest. Somebody's looking for a prototypical type guy, then they want the Cortland Sutton or the Equanimous St. Brown.
Yeah, I don't even know if Sutton is the first receiver in the NFL draft.
No?
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's rough around the edges a little bit, so I don't know if. And this class isn't as good as like last year, like you were saying. So I could definitely see I could see Ridley going over him. I think he's ready to kind of get in. He's getting knocked for his size and stuff, but as far as being a more polished receiver, like he's a little more polished.
I think he goes in the second day of the draft. He's going to go either second or third round.
Yeah, I could see him going in the second round. I'm just looking at his stats from last season. They had the 80 catches, 1,000 yards, like we said, but he also ran the ball 5 times, 60 yards and a touchdown. He was scrimmage. He has 85 plays that he touched the ball for almost 1,100 yards, which is 12.9 yards average.
He didn't add
every time he touched the ball.
He didn't add punt returner to his resume until 2017 either. So that's just another added element, in my opinion. That some of these guys, when they get on these teams and they're not like the number one go-to guy, they get their start on special teams, and then they look electric, and that's how they kind of get worked in. Same thing happened with Tyreek Hill. Yeah, I'm not comparing him to Tyreek Hill, but Tyreek Hill made his name on special teams, and then they're like, this guy is ridiculous. We have to get him the ball more, and then he became a more prominent receiver.
Yeah, they're saying that he's linked kind of with the Los Angeles Rams. They think that they might be targeting him because he's a perfect replacement for Sammy Watkins, same type of receiver, and a lot cheaper than Sammy Watkins.
And he wouldn't have to step into the number one role, but the only thing that worries me there is that I think Cooper Kupp stays in the slot.
Right
there. So now, who do you put on the outside opposite Woods?
I don't know, but they're this is on RotoWorld.com, by the way. They're having linked as early as this is 2 days ago, saying that the Rams have pick I think number 23 in the first round. That they don't have a second round pick, so they might either try to trade back or take him at the 123 as their number one guy.
And I don't think the Rams are going defense with the way they're beefing up their defensive line and their DBs. I don't think they're going defense. They're not looking offense.
And they're not going quarterback or running back. Those are locked up for a long time. So, and they just took the tight end Gerald Everett last year as well. So, I could see that definitely happening. But yeah, I mean overall, I like DJ Moore. I think that the hype train is a little like it's getting a little up there where it's like it's the who was it last year? The John Ross type of thing. He had a great combine. He ran really fast, whatever, and he was the talk of the combine. And that's kind of how DJ Moore. Since the combines happened, everyone's kind of been talking about him that didn't really know about him because let's be honest, if you don't watch a lot of college football, there's not many Maryland games that are on TV. You're not seeing them 4 or 5 times a year like the Alabamas and the Georgias and the Auburns and so on. It's a team that if you're not particularly paying attention to them specifically, you probably never heard of DJ Moore. Maybe you heard of him because of his stats, but you've never really seen highlight tape or seen him play in a game until the combine. Then the word started getting out about him, and people started researching and saying, man, this kid's really good. He's playing in a conference on a 4-8 team, and he's producing these numbers. You got to give him his due and his respect. So he's definitely going to go in the first round of the rookie drafts. We can all agree on that. Yeah. I just don't know if it's going to be middle or late round, but I think that he could be the number 2, if anything, the number 3 at the latest in the NFL. I'm sorry, in the dynasty fantasy football.
Yeah, I agree. He's a
surefire
number 1. Yeah.
No, he doesn't fall to the second. I agree. Like I'm still trying to figure out what I think about DJ Moore. I do like him. I think some of the hype train is justified. And I go back and I look at his college career. I try not to get too involved in the numbers because I feel like that will lead me astray when I'm like, oh, okay, this is what this kid is. But one thing I do like to look at is this: if they got better each year, without something crazy happening, like Equanimous St. Brown, you can see why maybe that last year happened and it wasn't as good as the year prior. But as long as there's a good year in there that showed that they broke out at some point, you can see they have the capability. But this kid every year got better, and the last year was like the worst situation, or not a great situation, and he thrived. So
and he was a starter every year.
Yeah, so I feel like I like this kid. I'm trying to really pigeonhole where I like him at in my rookie drafts, but I definitely think he's justified in the dynasty first round.
Yeah, I think. I don't know. I think that because of the fact that he can play special teams and return kicks, it was kind of the same thing we were talking about with Balaj, that there's going to be a roster spot for him, and he's going to get a great chance to be a very productive receiver, I think, pretty quickly. I think that he's got the talent and the experience being there for 3 years and producing how he produces last year of like, if he can get a quarterback that's accurate to throw to him, that's consistent, I think that he has a great NFL career, actually, not just a first season. I see this kid being good. I'm actually really high on him, and I was one of those people that didn't really know much about him until the combine, until people started talking about him, and I'm thinking, wow, they're putting this guy with the Cortland Suttons, and they're putting him with the Calvin Ridleys and all these other guys. Okay, I'll look into it a little bit and see what everyone's talking about, and I wasn't disappointed when I started looking at his highlights and what he's done with the quarterback play that was there of interchanging quarterbacks all the time. He pretty much gelled with every person that came in. It wasn't like, okay, the 4th quarterback on the roster came in, he was just non-existent. Like, he succeeded with everyone that was there. So that means that he obviously was catching wherever they threw the ball for him. So sure hands is a great thing for a wide receiver.
I like to see him in Dallas with the 218. I think he's somebody that could be a possession receiver there.
Nine
Throw him
and
in the
5/8 inch hands, which is good too. Big hands. Runs like a running back. What's there not to like about DJ Moore?
Yeah, when you read everything, all the glowing things they like to say about his game, and that it's gotten better, that he's developed into being able to do some downfield stuff, some intermediate stuff, able to kind of go up and attack the ball, and he's rounding out his game. It seems over the 3 years like he's been able to get better and develop. And I think if you have that going, and he's only 20, so he's doing this at a young age. So when you get into college, if you're breaking out as a young kid and you're 19 and 20 and you're playing against, guys that are 21, 22 or some older kids are like 23, like you're still developing too. So I think that says a lot too. If you're breaking out at a younger guy against guys who are, more developed than you, so to speak, it's like going from college to NFL where you get there and it's like it's grown men and you're not with, the college kids anymore. But that kind of happens in college ranks too when you're coming in as freshmen and you're younger than everybody else and they're ahead of you a little bit and you're still producing against those kind of guys. Like, it looks good. Like, everything I see, it looks pretty good.
With the combine hype train thing, I did look at the 8 tests that they put him through, the athletic test. He tested above average in 7 of the 8 athletic tests at the combine. That also is the reason why it wasn't just his 40-yard dash time was good. 7 out of 8, he was above average. All but the 3-cone drill was the one that he wasn't. He was right below, average in the 3-cone drill. The other 7 athletic tests that were there, the vertical, the broad jump, the 20-yard shuttle, 60-yard shuttle, 40-yard dash, bench press, he was the average or above. The other thing I was just reading here, and then we can wrap up. The junior wideout was named Big Ten Receiver of the Year with 4 different starting quarterbacks. Moore caught school record 80 passes. It was an unquestionable go-to target, becoming the first wide receiver since Hakeem Nicks to surpass 1,000 receiving yards, not having a quarterback throw for more than 1,500 yards. So not one of those quarterbacks threw for 1,500 yards, and he still had over 1,000 yards receiving. Impressive, if you ask me. Means he can do it with anybody. Anything.
Yeah, it's not too shabby.
Yeah.
Talk for a second. I'm looking something up real quick. I just want to take a look at something.
Okay.
Add more?
What's up?
You have more?
Yeah, we'll add more. It says that he also is being linked to, if he does fall to the second round, the Green Bay Packers. Especially now, since they moved from Jordy Nelson, they signed Jimmy Graham. The Packers now, I think, have the 45th pick. Where's Green Bay at over there on that board, Jake? I can't see it.
The 213.
213. Anything else in a second?
No,